Welcome to the Riff. Today on the Riff, Jeremy and Justin sit down and talk about leading out of health. And they finally get to talk about McDonald's hamburgers and the way the cheese is placed on the hamburger patty. We hope today is helpful. Thanks for listening.
Well, welcome, Riff listeners. Great to have you with us on this beautiful Monday morning.
Gorgeous Monday morning.
Justin, I don't know if they've already noticed either if they're listeners or viewers, but we have taken our studio up a notch. If you think that we got a little more bougie since last Monday, it's because we did. Justin, would you explain to these people, besides my fresh haircut, what is new about this set?
I'm not one to brag. I'm not. But I would say that we have new mic stands.
We do indeed have new mic stands.
What a day.
The kind that allow me to use my body language the way the Lord intended me. I can hit tables and it's going to be less annoying. So
that's great.
Now, Justin, does that mean that we had a new sponsor come out that allowed us to buy new mic stands?
A lot of people would think that.
Yeah.
Right? And we would hope that.
Yeah.
The answer is no.
We just had some extra money in our Amazon Prime account.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's
Either way, I am glad. And we believe, though, that that's going to lead to just an even better experience for our viewers / listeners.
Yeah.
Whether it's from inland, the 48, the Great 48, the other two, the lesser than the Great 48.
Or abroad. Sorry. Abroad.
Abroad.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Had some spit in my mouth.
Yeah, you need some chapstick?
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. So anyway, I hope that you're having a great warm day. I don't know if y'all remember as you're listening, remember back a few weeks ago when it was like when it got so cold?
It got really cold.
Like negative degrees?
It got really down there.
That's actually right now.
That is right now.
We're recording this in hopes that we will survive it, but I'm freezing. And are you cold, Justin?
So cold. I'm so cold.
Yeah. So I hope we're having a balmy upper 20s degree day in January when this is dropped.
I'm gonna say this will be fun. I'm gonna say the temperature outside right now is 46.
When this is dropped, as they're listening?
Yeah.
That's
my hope.
Unless they are procrastinating and not listening until summer, then I'm going to say I could even be up to 76.
Or they're listening not in the Springfield metro area.
Oh, my
Haven't
word.
even thought of that.
Honestly,
what I just did. I'm sorry. I just did to all of our listeners.
Yeah, put them back in a box.
I am so sorry.
We have worked hard to grow our audience.
I know.
Well, hey. We are glad you're joining us today. Great news. It's 2023. We're excited about what's going on this year. We're excited. One of our recent podcasts, we talked about Preston and talking about following Jesus. And we have coming up Jesus XP. We're starting to get some momentum. You're going to hear a lot more about that around North Point. Different groups. We're hopeful to have about 70 groups that are going to be launching all over the area. If you're looking to join a group, it's a great opportunity to dive in. So tell us just a little bit about Jesus XP.
It's going to be a new system that we're rolling out. We've done groups for a long time, right? And it's been kind of hey, if you know some people, would love for you to go through something within the Bible, something that has to do with spirituality. We got a lot of resources, right? This is a specific resource, especially as you start a series called The Jesus Journey, right? We're going to do an 8-week series.
Coming up very soon.
That's right. And what this is JXP, Jesus XP, takes you through a gospel. So we're going to be specific and we're going to say Luke. And we're going to say, hey, we're going to provide training and we're going to provide tools and resources, not just for you to go out there and hopefully know some people to run through a group with, but we're going to be extremely intentional with this curriculum. And it's very us, right? It's very practical. It's not just let's sit down and read. JXP is built on this whole idea of what do you do with what you read, with what you reflect on, right? So there's an action step to it. which is just North Point, man. So it's a really cool piece. Preston's leading that charge. Campus pastors are really rallying around it. A lot of people are excited about it. And I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people.
Now, some people are thinking, well, I was doing a group with a whole different focus. Does that change all that? Well, really, we've had, when it's come to control, we've had a pretty low control of groups. We're not in the business of telling people what they can and cannot do. And some of our group options have looked like a Cheesecake Factory menu.
Which I love.
I do too.
Love Cheesecake Factory.
Sometimes, honestly, I've gone to Kansas City just for the cheesecake.
Same.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Have I ever done that with you?
No. We've never.
It wouldn't shock me because I'd be so focused on the cheesecake, I'd forget who I was with. For me, it's not about community. However, our groups are. And so as I segue back there, this is more of an in and out menu. So what we want to do is just for the next, whether it's a 6-week, 8-week group, we're encouraging about 70 different ones to go through the same material. And it's, Luke, it's going to be very helpful, I think, for just several weeks as a lot of people in our church to walk through this together while we're doing a series on it. So it'll be great. So if you're out there, you're hearing some more about it on the weekends, obviously you'll be able to look for that on Resources Next Steps on our website. You'll hear about it every weekend as we get closer and closer to the launch of the series. But we really would love for you to go on this journey with us, with others, to be able to look at the story of Jesus, apply it so that we can reflect him better in our own lives. You'll get to know some North Pointers along the way. And if you got a hankering to lead this, talk to one of your campus leads, and we'd love to be able to connect you with the right tools, set you up for success. So it's
great.
Very exciting.
And that kind of leads into our conversation today.
Let's do this. That's a good segue, I think.
I think so too. But as we talk about growing, as we talk about following Jesus, as we talk about taking next steps, you and I were sitting down having a discussion the other day, talking about leadership.
Yeah.
Talking about even volunteering in large leadership roles, right? And what that looks like, and what is the best step to take if you're in those types of positions? Meaning, what type of mindset, what type of heart, what type of life season that you're in, all that kind of stuff. What is the best combination of those pieces to lead the strongest, right?
Yeah.
And you made a comment, and this is kind of what we'll jump off of, right?
Okay.
And that was that you hope people in leadership positions lead out of health, and they don't enter a leadership position for health.
Yeah.
That's going to be their, oh man, at last I'm going to find something to help me, and it's leading others.
Right.
So I just kind of want to walk through that because whether you're in a business, whether you are volunteering, whether you are staying home and you're with the kids, whatever you're doing in life, you're leading something, right? So I think it's a really great thing to kind of take a step back from just leadership in general and say, how am I? Or let's check myself. So as we talk about groups, as we talk about getting into communities, we talk about growing, I think that's part of it, right? So I want to talk about leadership. I want to talk about healthy leadership, and I want to talk about what that looks like in your mind. Yeah,
I mean, I think that this is a great example of why we even have this podcast. Is we want to be able to have an environment where we talk family talk, that we are able to say, hey, let's, as a general rule, while this is available for anybody who wants to download the podcast, the reason we're creating this is for North Pointers, people on this journey, to be able to get a little bit better view of the mission, of what's going on behind the scenes, hear North Point stories, also some things that might not be a weekend focus, but would be helpful on the journey. Mm-hmm. And so I love the idea of leadership. What does it mean at North Point to lead? And if you start with our whole mission, our mission is to create a safe environment for people to find and follow Jesus. Safe places, safe spaces, safe environments for people to find and follow Jesus. We've talked a lot about that towards the end of this last year, going into this year, that not only do we want people to be able to experience Jesus, find Jesus, to be able to say, I feel like I'm encountering him. I feel like God's speaking to me. I feel like I see him better as a result of what we do, whether that's give back events, whether that's our weekend experiences. We also want people on this journey to begin to reflect him more, to grow in their life. And so that's our mission. One of the things we talk about a lot is that we have arrows out focus, that it's not about us. And that would be from the lens of someone who's on this journey. I would never expect somebody who's not on the journey of Jesus to try and live out the principles of Jesus, right? That doesn't make sense. But those who are saying, "Hey, I'm in," we ought to grow and aspire to live out the reflections of Jesus, the principles of Jesus, and we should encourage each other in ways to do that. And one of those principles is to live with the arrows out, that it's not about us, that we believe something happens in us when we don't do it for us, that we grow through serving others. And so when we're talking about next steps at North Point, when someone says, "I want to follow Jesus and I want to be on this journey," one of the foundational elements that we're going to have in our mind is, how do we now help you point that arrow towards the mission? How do we help you create a safe place for people to find and follow Jesus? Mm-hmm. So it is now not about us. We don't do it for us. Now, do we benefit from it? I think so. I think I grow when I serve, but I don't serve to grow. I grow so I can serve. And I think one becomes a byproduct of the other. So I'm giving a lot of background, and then I think it'd be fun to walk through some specifics. So, for example, let's say it's a Dream Center setting where someone says, "I believe in the mission of the Dream Center. I want to help Wednesday night dinners. I'm going to serve food."
Great.
We have those. That's a real case study.
That's great.
What do you think we need them to be able to do in order to help us with that mission?
They got to smile.
Okay.
Got to.
Okay. So that's a very specific one. You got to smile.
Yeah.
Why is that important?
You got to have a smile for the people coming in, right? Because I think when people walk into the Dream Center, especially in a Wednesday night setting, nervous.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe a little like, I don't know if I should be here. You see a smile, you're like, oh, they look friendly.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It takes guards down, right? And here's something else. It can't be a fake one. Right? So there's so many times, I think you'll get into this, but there's so many times I've heard in huddles, like, just put a smile on, no matter if you feel it or not. Actually, the person walking through the door will actually know that you're not being authentic, right? So I think that's what you're talking about with the arrows in, arrows out thing, right? Like, if you're not coming to this space where you're like ready to pour out and serve, the person receiving that will know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it comes off as gross. Anyways, yes, smile.
Okay.
Number one. Smile, smile.
We're just diving in.
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is like a leadership
It's like we're
conversation,
riffing.
right? Okay. So you mentioned huddle. Okay. That's a loaded term. That's something we do in almost every volunteer setting. And the purpose of a huddle is not to make sure our outside all of a sudden looks good. It's to remind ourselves internally. Right. So, no, do we want you to smile? Yes. Is it negotiable? No, it's not negotiable. Now, but we're not going to say, "Hey, everyone put a smile on and forget what's going on." What we say is, "No, remember why we do this."
Yes.
Now, therefore, smile.
Yep.
Because you're not doing it because you had a good day. Yep. And so I love that. Another thing, I think of what other things maybe you have to do if you're going to be putting food on trays. I think you have to have a good aim. Like, if you constantly miss the tray with the food,
you can't.
If it looks like half the cheeseburgers I get at McDonald's, honestly, I'm like, you got one job. Put the cheese square center on that patty. And if it's off-centered and my cheeseburger looks like it's been dropped, man, it's just...
Here's a question I think that's going to be kind of pivotal. If you get a cheeseburger like that, do you start on the cheese side or the non-cheese side?
The bun side?
If
you
the
can say
cheese
buns.
is-
Are we allowed to say buns on a podcast?
They'll beep it if we can't.
Yeah. You're allowed to say...
Which side do you start on?
I'm a delayed gratification guy, so I go
What?
buns first.
I go cheese first, but I could tell you're a buns first kind of guy, man.
You're so stupid. I apologize. I think we've only edited one thing in the history of the Riff.
And we might edit
76.
that. Well, that's a good one. But go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, so bottom line is, no matter what you're doing, you're serving. I said bottom line.
I know.
Let's grow up. Okay, so you're going to have about 3 different things that we're going to expect you to do, no matter what level of service. Why? Because the mission's important. Now, if you came to me and you said, you know what? Yeah, I don't smile. And I said, Justin, why aren't you smiling? And you were like, well, I don't do it for them. I do it for me. I feel better about myself when I serve. And I don't want your stupid rules of smiling. I would say, awesome, love that it made you feel better, but bottom line, this role is not for you to feel anything. This role is for you to serve, and it's all about creating a place for someone else. So no matter what, we call them ladders of ministry, and we have different rungs on the ladder. It's just a visual for us. It's not a power trip, but it's a visual. As every different step on leadership, we should know what are the roles and what are the requirements of the role, right? We don't expect you, if you're going to start off entry level, not in a power, but in an awareness, a relationship, an entry level serving opportunity. We're not going to have this huge litmus test of requirements for you. We're going to say, hey, can you open a door on the weekend? Can you smile? Right? Can you pass out coffee? Can you be attentive to those around you? Can you notice messes on the counter and messes on the floor? There's going to be a handful of requirements, and we have that at every level in every area of our ministry, from student ministry, kid point ministry, our central services, our connections teams, our production team. So one, you might be very friendly, but if you can't keep a camera steady,
right, tough
in a video venue environment,
right.
is one, you might do your devotions every single day, but if you got the shaky hands at the camera, it's going to be a bad experience. So what we have to do is say, what are we wanting to create on the user end? And from there, identify these are the things that we expect for this role. And it's different on all sorts of things. When it comes to group leading, you were talking about that, is what does it mean to be a group leader? Do you have to be a member of North Point Church? How long you've been is one, we don't have membership. Membership, we figure out when you're invested in the journey with your time, with your treasure. You own it. We don't all get together and vote on the color of the carpet every year, those kind of things. But what are we looking for from someone who's a leader of a group? So let's just kind of spitball that. And I know there's a training of how do we help people with that. But what are some of the things that we're looking for?
Well, I think this can easily get into a very legalistic mindset where I think churches have gone down the road of you've got to have this.
Here's the 17 things you have to have.
But I feel like just life in general, the best type of life is to live inside of a tension, right? So there's that tension of that rigid, rule. But there's also this other side of man, whatever, whatever you want, just come on in, on, just lead them, right? Probably not as healthy as you think, especially if you come from this very rigid space that might look very attractive, but there's something there in the middle, right? That as a group leader, I think it is that piece of, are you leading this group out of health?
Right.
So for Jamie and I, right? Anytime that we've gone into a season where it's been tough for us, right? Or if we've had to go to counseling, that's not the time we've thought, let's lead a group. Let's lead a marriage group.
Right.
Actually, let's go through this counseling. Let's learn these lessons, and then let's lead a group on the other side, because I think that the things that we learn, we'll be able to help other people with. Yeah. So while it might look a little bit arrows in, it probably needs to be that for a season to get our arrows pointed out, right? You can't do it at the same time, right? Your arrows are going to be all over the place. So as we look at a group leader, you're looking at somebody that has either gone through something, right? Whether it be spiritual, whether it be, or has that background to it. And it's not just this, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Let's just all get in the room and crack open the Bible.
Right.
Probably just as dangerous as the no rules, right? So all that to say, in my mind, what we're looking for is we're looking for somebody that isn't the Navy SEAL of Christianity, but is somebody that is grounded in their faith and that has a walk or a journey that has continuously been happening over years, months, whatever that looks like, and says, man, I really think that I'm in a space to share. Now let's go through this training. And I'm telling you, we've got a team of people that then can say, absolutely, this will be great. Or, you know what? I think this is a season that you probably would be better to join one. Honestly, So that's
and that's not a weird conversation for us.
No.
Now, I'm aware that sometimes that could feel weird in a church setting.
For sure.
But I would have no problem saying to, use you guys as an example. One, you guys are phenomenal group leaders. At the same time, if you were ever at a spot where you said, hey, I think we should be in a group during this session, or I don't think it's a natural next step for us to lead a group in this area right now. That I'm not like, oh my word. I'm like, makes sense.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Is there an area that is natural? And one, how can we help you in this area? And it's never weird for me if I notice it and say, hey, I don't know if this is a natural season for you to lead this particular topic or this particular time. But what about this? Yeah. And that's not weird. Mm-hmm. It's just saying what we want to do is we want to lead from health in that specific area. So again, we're not rolling out, here are the 70 most perfect North Pointers, and they have been all vetted and going to lead a group. One, we want to be able to know who they are. There's also things like, we just want to know that, hey, do you know how to handle the relational weight of 7 people who might have questions?
Right.
If people bug you, I don't care how spiritual you are, okay? You're not going to best serve that mission. And then on the other side, if you are having right now, you're having life issues that are very distracting to what we're asking you to do, then that's not going to help the mission. But ultimately, to say, hey, do you believe in the mission? Here's the 4 things that we think will provide health for this group. And do you feel like this is a no-brainer for you to step up and lead this? But we want to lead from health, not for health. Again, we're not chasing perfection. That's a dragon, and we don't expect that. That just leads to arrogance and pride. But if we say, hey, here's the deal. I want to be able to lean into Scripture. Let's learn together. But I don't have anything right now that's really distracting me from being able to be totally aware of what God might be doing in this group and my role there. Even very spiritually sounding people, they might not be a great fit, because maybe for them, the reason they want to lead a group is because they want to have their little church, right? And they're like, hey, I don't get a chance to preach. This is my turn to preach.
Which is arrows in.
Yeah, arrows in. And I would say that you're not ready to lead a group.
Right.
Because it's not about how you feel as the leader.
Yes.
And now, we want to do a good job to set people up so that they don't feel like they're messing up. We want to give them the right tools, but ultimately we're looking for, and we're building, and we've got this team of, in this season, it's going to be about 70 different people who are saying, hey, while I'm not perfect, I'm excited to grow together with other people. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to look at Scripture together. I've been trained on some basic things of how to navigate 7 to 10 different people and questions and room dynamics and how to care for people. And I don't need anything from the group to make me feel special as a leader. We'll walk through some of those things. And when we do that, we're saying, okay, we're leading from health, not for health. And that would be true about worship. We're not saying, okay, we want to have the kind of talent around here that people think they're at a Branson show, okay? They think they're at Empire Fair, or the fairgrounds at the best concert. Though, honestly, we got some people who are hired by whether it's production and musician and that are very gifted by God, but the whole litmus test is these are people who say, hey, I want to create an experience for that person who walks in. Mm-hmm. And so while, God's gifted North Point with musicians and artists and creatives, to be able to have an excellence that's actually become a draw for some people who are like, man, there's credibility just based on their craft. Ultimately, what we want for everybody out of there is to say, I'm not doing it because this is my biggest platform I could be on, or because I feel something when I do it. I'm doing it because I believe in what happens when someone's in this environment with a quality environment. God will speak to them. Same with me. The moment that I am speaking in order to get affirmation, the moment that I look to the crowd to give me something so I can feel like a more godly pastor, arrows are in. And I've got to watch that. Sometimes for pastors, it could be an altar call, is my message will be validated based on how many people come out of their seat, or it could be, and then it's going to motivate me to use more fear or urgency that's out of context.
You're at your best when you're fearful.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really...
I'm at my loudest when I'm fearful. I'm not sure it's my best. But bottom line is, what I always have to do is say, hey, this message, I got to believe. Every time I get up there, here's what I believe. I convince myself, what I'm about to share is going to change lives, because it's not from me, it's from God. And I've got to do everything possible to bring this with as few distractions as possible, because it's all about God's going to change lives. And as soon as I'm done, I got to be like, it's not about me. It doesn't matter what emails, what comments do or do not come in, because I can't carry the weight of needing affirmation from this role. Otherwise, I become a very toxic pastor. And so whether it's me, whether it is someone who's been around North Point for 20 years, someone who's been around North Point for 20 weeks, all of us need to look at the mission, say, what role can I play so that we can help provide a safe place for people to find Jesus. In order to do that, it's not always, we say, come as you are, not necessarily lead as you are. And that's not a judgment way of like, hey, you're not good enough to lead at North Point, but it's always like, hey, let's grow together. Let's all get to a spot of health. And as life happens and the ebbs and flows of health comes in and out, let's make sure that we're always leading from a healthy source, because when we're leading from a healthy source, health flows out of us and people receive, I think, really effective ministry on the receiving end. So I just think it's a great journey. That's called discipleship, is we're becoming more and more like Jesus in community that way. And again, we don't want to stifle it. We don't want to put on referee jerseys and judge each other on all these things. But at the same time, out of community, we want to encourage growth and health. And
I think the community piece that you just mentioned is important. We say a lot that serving is a great way to find community.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we can probably, through semantics, almost define serving is community.
Right.
Serving is surrender. Community is the people that you're surrendering with, right? Yeah. So there's been a lot of times where we've had somebody that's been going through some crazy stuff, and we've said, hey, I don't think right now in this space you should serve here, here, or here, right? Type of deal. And immediately you're met with well, that's community.
Yeah.
Well, that's not going away, right? The community is still there. Hopefully your community or whoever you are serving with isn't just a Sunday type of deal, right?
Right.
The serving piece is the surrender piece, right? That's not community. That's you saying arrows out completely, right? You find community within that with other people. So I think it's really important as we say that, and I know everybody around here says that, right? Serving's a great way to find community, that we don't define it in a way that's going to be hurtful if somebody has to maybe redirect for a season to where it is an arrows in season. And that's okay, right? Get healthy, but understand that you can't have arrows out right? When all of them are pointed in. But don't lose community. Don't make those lines hazy. So what would you say to that?
Yeah. Well, I would say, if we were going on a mission trip across the state and we were going to build a home for somebody.
Across the state?
Yeah. Let's say
Sykeston.
Northeast. Yeah.
Northeast?
Yeah. No, Sykeston. I like that because that's the home of the world's first Lamberts. And so we were gonna build
a shed for them.
Yes, a shed for the throat rolls. Yes, okay. And our job is to build, and we're going there, someone hurts their arm, and now they're not able to join the construction for that day. It's not a weird conversation to say, hey, right now, you can't swing a hammer. And if they're like, but I get great identity and community from swinging a hammer, say, listen, hey, tonight we're gonna have a team dinner. Let's have a team dinner, but we need to get this project done, right? Or if they say, I really don't like swinging hammers. I like to sing, okay? Or I like to juggle. Cool. Our mission is to swing hammers during this trip. That's what we're called to do. Now, we want community, but we have a very specific mission. Mission first, community is very important as well. If we can have both, awesome. But the mission trumps everything. And so I would say in that setting, it's very easy. It's not personal. It's just like, okay, we have a mission to do. Let's do it. When we show up every weekend or we show up at any of our weekly programs, there's a mission. And the question that we all have to do every day is to check in and say, am I focused on the mission at hand? That's why we have huddles. And it has nothing to do with like, am I a sinner or am I not a sinner? It's not this moral deal all the time. Now, morality certainly could put you on the bench for a while because that would mean I'm not healthy. But bottom line is we say, hey, right now, are we so focused on the needs of those who are our target right now? I'm not distracted by my own needs. I'm not distracted by my own my own agenda, that this is an opportunity for me to remember what we're doing. And like, for example, is you can have, we'll tease sometimes our connection team is say, okay, the last thing we would want is two of the most friendly door greeters to be in such fun friendship and telling inside jokes all morning that they forget to look out the door and open the door. And then we got a bottleneck of people trying to get in. But the people whose job is to open the doors are having such great community. I would have no problem saying, guys, love your friendship. Like, honestly, I'm jealous of that kind of friendship. But right now, open the doors. Okay, that's the role. And that's what we want to have mentality every area of serving. So if you're not serving on this mission, find a way. We have a significant spot for you to jump in serving. Mm-hmm. I think it would help our mission immensely. I believe if you're part of North Point, you're a gift from God. You will either help or hurt the mission. You won't be neutral. So jump on in and help the mission. If you feel like, I don't know if I can serve because I don't know that I'm completely healthy, let's have a conversation about it. Like, maybe there's an area where you're ready to serve. Maybe there's a strong reason why you're not, but then let's at least have the conversation so we can help you take those steps.
And also, that's what we've worked so hard at doing.
Yeah.
When we talk about those ladders, the lowest level, like, we have worked so hard to truly make it a safe place.
Yeah.
Right? Come as you are, because there's going to be a space for you. Now, as we talk about going up and leading this or leading that, I don't know. It's going to be crazy conversations.
Yep.
But a great conversation is come.
Yep.
Yes.
And we would love to help you take that next step. Yeah. And because why? We have such a big vision ahead of us. There are so many people who this past weekend had zero maybe engagement with Jesus in or outside of a church. And we just believe that that there are people who could have an engagement with Jesus if we all do our part to create a place for them, a safe place for them. And so if we do that, I believe we'll have major impact if we have people who are focused on the target. They're at a place where they can leading from health, not for health. And when we all come together and we'll see that mission happen, I think that's pretty cool.
It's great.
So we have on our website, next steps. Man, there's opportunities for you to serve. If you just got questions of how to help, it could be like that gym we talk about. Like, you don't know which machine to use, how to use it, kind of wrestling with one of those machines. Just let us know. We'll help you make some easy next step conversations for you. But again, thanks so much for being a part of this mission. We're excited about it. Where it's going to take us this next year, who we're going to be able to connect with because of that. So, Justin, thanks again for these new mic stands. I know you probably ordered them.
Goodness, that's an Amazon special.
I like it. Yeah. I like it. Well, I think they work well.
It held the mics, both of them, the entire time.
Yeah. I'm headed to McDonald's. I'm going drive-through.
Oh, and, you are.
I might document this.
All right.
Because honestly, I think the more I think about it, I don't even know which end I'd go after first. So,
I know.
But I'm excited to find out. And Riff listeners, I hope you have a great week. We'll talk to you next Monday.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.